Welcome back. We are talking to the candidates running for the state's 30th Assembly District in November's election, Republican candidate Danny Gilmore and Democratic candidate Fran Flores. With us are James Geluso of the Bakersfield Californian, Jackie Kaczmarek of the Hanford Sentinel, and Paul Hurley from the Visalia Times-Delta. The economy, of course, has dominated the news recently, and a recent Public Policy Institute of California survey reports that 63% of all Californians report being financially worse off today than they were a year ago. Those are the worst numbers in 50 years of polling. What specific actions do you propose the legislature do to improve California's economic situation? Mr. Gilmore.
I mentioned earlier, California, the Golden State, we are continuing to, businesses are leaving California because we're over-regulating and we're overtaxing. The neighboring states of Nevada, Arizona are actually, businesses are leaving because we don't have a business-friendly climate. If we need to reduce regulations and hold the tax line and be able and that way be able to keep businesses here in California rather than they're actually in the state. We have to have a business-friendly climate.
Okay.
In order to sustain the economy.
Okay, Ms. Flores.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. The Public Policy Institute of California reports that 63% of Californians feel that they're worse off today than they were a year ago. What specific actions do you propose the legislature take to improve California's economic situation?
You know, I don't think the legislature may need to take some action, but I tell you what we really need. We have Proposition 1A that will be on the November ballot, and that's a high-speed rail bond. That project itself will spur economic activity. That would create 450,000 permanent jobs. It'll create 350,000 construction jobs. So if we want to spur the economy, then we need to do things like pass the bond. And that's not the job of the legislature, but that's certainly on all of us to think about what spurs the economy, what we can do. It's about jobs. We have to have jobs, and this project will bring jobs.
Okay. Ms. Kaczmarek, you have the next question.
Yes, this question kind of piggybacks on that one. How would you improve the opportunities for Central Valley residents to get better jobs, not just by having more businesses here, businesses to stay, but possibly through education?
Well, first of all, we have to have the workforce. You know, right now we do have vocational ed in high schools and in the colleges. I belong to the Bakersfield College Foundation. We partner with a construction company to build homes, to teach people, construction jobs, the trades, electricians, plumbers. So, we have to have a trained workforce. We expect companies to come here, then we need to provide the workforce. That's one way of doing it. Vocational ed, I think, is a good start. But, I have a history of being able to bring jobs. I've done that in my city council. We've brought 2,300 jobs to the region, and we know how to do it, and it's just a matter of bringing everybody on board.
Mr. Gilmore.
The career technical education, I believe, is a huge component. Our high schools working in conjunction with our community colleges, and this really provides a twofold purpose by giving the young people an opportunity to have a good paying career. It is also going to address the issue of the young people getting involved in gangs and drugs. So I'm a very, very strong proponent of that. I know here in the Valley, at West Hills College, I've looked at the nursing program there, and in the next decade we're going to lose about half of the nurses in this state. It's a huge problem. There are other career technical vocations such as plumbing, electricians, and of course the law enforcement field as well. So I'm a very strong proponent of career technical education.
Okay, Mr. Hurley, you've got the next question.
Thanks, Mark. Mr. Gilmore, this might not sound like a question on the economy. It might sound like more one for education, but California's scandalous dropout rate is putting a drain on our economy, and it's failing to provide the skilled workers that this state needs to compete in the global economy. Now, the state will admit to as much as 24% dropout rate. That's 1 in 4 students not finishing high school. Right. In some places in Los Angeles, it's as much as 75%. Right. What should the legislature be doing to end and lower that unacceptable dropout rate?
As I've traveled throughout the Valley, those figures really are very accurate in some of the smaller farming communities. And as I mentioned previously here, The career technical education is a great opportunity. There's a charter school in the city of Armona that is doing an experimental program actually starting as young as in the 4th grade on a vocational track. Because not everyone is going to go to college. We would love for everyone to go down that path, but the career technical education gives these kids an opportunity to have an excellent paying career, not just a minimum paying job. And there's a lot of interest in it.
Okay.
Ms. Flores, your strategy for lowering the dropout rate?
You know what I think? We have to have qualified teachers, first of all. We have to have teachers that relate to, in our smaller communities, you know, we have a high number of students whose English is a second language and not their primary language. So I think we have to have some programs there to help these students along, which means we've got maybe to make sure that education receives, you know, a fair amount of money in the budget so that we can continue to pay the best rate that we can to our teachers. They're the key to making sure that we have an educated workforce.
Okay, Mr. Geluso, you have the next question.
Central Valley cities consistently rate among the areas most affected by foreclosures. Mrs. Flores, what specifically can and should the state do to help homeowners facing foreclosure?
You know, as a former banker, and you know, I made many mortgage loans myself, and it used to be there were regulations where you had to document income, you had to document employment, you had to make sure the down payments were not borrowed. So I think that we need to get back to the basic lending. You know, you have to make sure that the person can afford the home. You just can't make loans that you want to put people in nice homes, but unfortunately, you know, they don't qualify. But I think that many mortgage lenders, you know, have taken advantage of streamlined processing. So we've got people in homes that they could not afford. We need to get back to the basics of lending.
Mr. Gilmore.
James, this is not only limited to the state of California. I think the nation right now is looking at probably one of the biggest crises it's faced because of this very issue right now. And the President of the United States and members of Congress are meeting as we're speaking on this very issue. And as my opponent just mentioned there, that there has to be responsibility on both the borrower and as well as the lender. And it's going to be very interesting over the course of the next week to 2 weeks, or hopefully before that, that this issue is addressed, because it is truly a crisis for our nation right now.
Thank you very much. When we come back, we'll discuss what each candidate proposes to do to ensure an adequate water supply for the residents and businesses of the San Joaquin Valley. That conversation when we return. This is a Maddie Institute Election Special.